Hello, my name is Fawn Girard, and welcome to my recorded defense presentation of New Teacher Retention, a qualitative single case study on K 12 teachers' experiences on their first 5 years of teaching. I want to start by saying thank you to my defense committee and especially to my advisor, Dr. Davis. To start my defense, I want to shed light on the pressing issue, teacher attrition. As we know, industries nationwide are grappling with high attrition rates, with resignations peaking since the spring of 2021. In fact, by July of 2022, the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics reported that almost 3% of our workforce has resigned. Parallel to this national trend, the field of education is experiencing a similar crisis. A staggering 8% of teachers leave the profession every year, translating to approximately 810,000 educators. So, what's the consequences? High attrition rates, particularly among new teachers, deprive our students of the benefits experienced educators bring. Research consistently shows that experienced teachers not only boost students' performance, but also their attendance and staff morale. But it's not just about the numbers. With COVID 19 shifting the dynamics of teaching, many educators have grappled with stress, increased workloads, and a challenging shift to remote and hybrid teaching models. This, compounded by the pressures of high stakes accountability, societal pressures, and in many cases, inadequate compensation, has intensified the urge to leave the profession. Closer to home, Maryland reflects these troubling national trends. Our state faces a crucial juncture with a teacher turnover rate at 7%, and specific challenges in areas such as science, math, and special education. The COVID 19 era has added unique challenges, such as students' gaps in learning, that teachers have to continue to work forward. So, what is the path forward? While the COVID 19 pandemic has thrown unprecedented challenges our way, it has also highlighted the persistent issues of teacher retention. Educational stakeholders can better address the issue by understanding the influences that contribute to new teacher turnover, leading to the purpose of my study. The purpose of this qualitative, single case study was to explore perceived personal, school, and external correlates that influence new teacher retention among K 12 teachers who have remained in their current position throughout their first 5 years of teaching. The research design and methodology of this study were guided by three research questions. The first is, what perceived personal correlates influence the retention of K 12 teachers who have remained in their current position throughout their first 5 years of teaching? Second, what perceived school correlates influence the retention of K 12 teachers who have remained in their current position throughout their first 5 years of teaching? And third, what perceived external correlates influence the retention of K 12 teachers who have remained in their current position throughout their first 5 years of teaching? These questions derive specifically from the theoretical framework that guided this study. Nguyen's teacher attrition and retention framework was used to frame the study. At its core, Nguyen's framework categorizes the reasons for teacher attrition into three main areas: personal correlates, school-related correlates, and external correlates. Personal correlates include influences intrinsic to the teachers themselves, like age and qualifications. School-related correlates dive into the environment and structures within our educational institutions, such as leadership, peer support, and student behavior. Lastly, external correlates encompass larger societal issues like compensation, the societal value of the teaching profession, and community support. Applying Nguyen's framework gave me a holistic perspective. It allowed me to understand not just the what, but the why behind the teacher's decision to stay. It highlights the interconnected nature of these influences, as seen in the application of my study. Before diving into the methodology, I must highlight my positionality through which I approached my study. Throughout my entire K 12 education in public schools, I have been influenced by several dedicated educators, which has fostered a deep respect for the teaching profession. My personal and academic experiences, from working in the arts to hospitality and now pursuing a doctorate at Baylor University, has grounded me in the value of education. These experiences and witnessing high turnover in several different fields ignited my curiosity. What sustains a teacher's drive amidst challenges? Returning to education, especially during the challenging times of COVID-19 pandemic, I've seen firsthand the struggles of adjustments and attrition among new educators. My experiences have fostered a strong bias, which I've acknowledged and mitigated. New educators require more tools and resources for success. This understanding adopts a constructivist perspective, as described by Cresswell and Poth. As I sought to understand the motivations that drive educators, especially in Maryland's challenging K through 12 public education environment, my ultimate goal was to uncover the positive forces driving teacher retention. Now, on to the study's methodology. First, I anchored the study design in a qualitative format, specifically a single case study focusing on a Maryland school district. Nguyen's 2018 Teacher Attrition and Retention Framework was my compass for guiding the inquiries of personal, school, and external correlates that are perceived to influence teacher turnover. The data collection involved a comprehensive district wide questionnaire, followed by in depth, semi structured interviews, both designed to align with Nguyen's three correlates. Interview participants were selected from the questionnaire respondents using a critical case sampling method, ensuring that the interviews provided the most valuable insights. The data analysis rooted in Cresswell-Poth's data analysis spiral helped me pinpoint distinct categories and themes. By employing a priori codes from Nguyen's framework, I then sifted through the data effectively, helping find those categories and illuminate emerging themes that would give me a comprehensive view of the data. Yet, research without integrity is hollow. Therefore, I had to ensure trustworthiness through member checking and triangulating data. Ethics weren't merely an afterthought, but it was foundational. I had to get clear permissions, informed consent, and was vigilant bias acknowledgement. Although my study did have time limits and focused on only one district, these delimitations and limitations helped clarify the specific scope and context of my findings. My research on new teacher retention on Maryland combined personal experiences, professional insights, and systematic methodologies to reveal new insights. And here is an overview of my findings. I explored the various perceived influences that may impact K through 12 teacher retention during my research and identified these influencings by answering the three research questions. The first question asked what perceived personal correlates influence retention. I found that a teacher's background and their job satisfaction stand out as pivotal. Those with strong academics foundations and qualifications felt more competent and had higher retention rates. The second question asked what perceived school correlates influence retention, and I found that a supportive school environment underscored by positive relationships with colleagues and administration emerged as vital. Teachers highlighted the necessity of a supportive administration and the power of collaboration and mentorship within the school setting to reduce attrition. The third question asked, what perceived external correlates influence retention? I found that the impact from COVID-19 pandemic cannot be understated, as it intensified stress among educators. Additionally, union memberships positively influenced retention, while external pressures like standardized testing and curriculum expectations contributed to attrition. These findings illuminate the importance of a holistic support for our educators. For a thriving education system, it's imperative to address the findings through collaboration from teachers, administrators, and policymakers, and prioritize supportive environments, continuous mentorship, and responsive leadership. When connecting the discovered findings with the literature, I was able to see first, under personal correlates, I found that a teacher's background particularly their educational experiences and qualifications, played a profound role in retention. Teachers like Richard emphasized how feeling valued and managing workload stress impacted job satisfaction. This was mirrored in the literature. For instance, Ingersoll and Strong's work in 2011 drew a direct link between qualifications and teacher commitment. Similarly, studies by Billingsley, Goldhaber, and others highlighted the integral role of qualifications in teacher retention. Moving on to school correlates, the emerging themes were the essence of school leadership and the ambiance of a supportive environment. I discovered how crucial positive relationships and administrative backings were. Karen's heightened job satisfaction from such support is a testament to this. The emphasis on teacher collaboration was evident in Susan's accounts. The literature bolstered these findings. Researchers like Boyd, Smith, Ingersoll, and Yada noted that attrition rates plummeted in schools emphasizing collaboration. Grimson and Ladd's works supported that schools backed by supportive administrations witnessed reduced attrition. Additionally, the significance of mentorship programs in curtailing attrition was well documented. Lastly, in the realm of external correlates, the pervasive impacts of the COVID 19 were clear. Many teachers grappled with the increased stress and burnout exacerbated by the pandemic. On the brighter side, the bolstering role of the union support and retention decisions became evident through narratives like those of Richard and Karen. Walker's research in 2022 echoed the challenges posed by the COVID 19. Furthermore, as per studies by Yaber, Kelly, Northrop, and Redding, union memberships evidently reduced the chances of attrition. A spotlight was also cast on the pressures of standardized testing, with research suggesting it does contribute to attrition. These themes illuminated the connection between individual experiences and the literature. A balance between the two allows for more effective teacher retention strategies. In my research, guided by works from experts like Billingsley, Boyd, and others, I determined that there were three main contributors that were impacted by the perceived influences of teacher retention. First, teachers. I discovered that their qualifications and certifications weren't just papers, they were central to their retention. Personal histories, how they felt in their roles, and their overall job satisfaction profoundly influenced their commitment. Their initial dips into teaching proved foundational, such as student teaching and internships. These early educational experiences, as supported by Ingersoll and Strong, were paramount in shaping their long-term decisions. Transitioning next to school administration, here leadership was more than just guidance. It became clear that the role of leadership was instrumental in holding on to quality educators. What also emerged was the undeniable weight of a positive work environment. Teachers need to feel valued, and a supportive work environment is critical to retention. It was impossible to overlook the impact of mentorship programs. Such initiatives were powerful tools that tangibly reduced attrition rates, as scholars like Boyd, Grissom, and Ladd indicated. Lastly, I focused on policymakers. I observed how large-scale external correlates, like the COVID 19 pandemic and accountability standards, significantly swayed attrition trends. It became apparent that supporting teachers, especially during turbulent times, was more than a need. It was a mandate. Additionally, union membership stood out, bolstering retention rates, a sentiment echoed in studies by Kelly, Northrop, and Redding. So, to summarize, my research concluded with a strong recommendation that there's a pressing need to address personal, school, and external correlates in harmony for optimal teacher retention. As I look forward, I see a vast horizon in future research. There's potential in exploring specific interventions, understanding cultural nuances, and embarking on long-term studies to comprehend further and bolster retention rates among new teachers. In my endeavors during 2023, I aim to enlighten various stakeholders. For teachers, I unraveled the influences on retention and underscored proactive steps for job fulfillment. With school administrators, I delved into leadership's profound impact and championed the creation of positive school cultures and mentorship programs. I highlighted external challenges to policymakers like the COVID 19 pandemic and the invaluable role of a union membership. My vision was clear: fortify teacher retention, cultivate supportive school atmospheres, and kindle the flame for continued research and action. I began sharing these insights in September with my school union representatives, and then was scheduled to present at the October teacher union meeting. I plan to continue with presentations with district administrations and provide recordings of my presentations on our district's online platforms. Thank you for watching my defense presentation and taking the time to review my study.